So ladies, thanks for joining us today on Leadership Log, which is a podcast for the Air Force Lifecycle Management Center community on topics of interest. And the topic of interest today is learning about GearFit, an app that helps us get the right fitting or the right fit for our equipment. I think is how it is. So, but we're going to learn about that. So, Taylor, if you could introduce yourself to the audience and give a little bit of your career background.
Well, thanks for having us today. We really appreciate it. So my name's Taylor Harrison, and I am the program manager for GearFit. I currently work in Human Systems Division within the Combat Ready Airman branch. Prior to that, I worked in MQ9, and I also did 6 years of active duty working within the acquisition community. So I've been at this for a little bit, but I've been here in Combat Ready Airman for almost 2 years now. So just had a lot of different abilities to get to really impact our airmen, and not so much just like platforms, but we're this particular program has been super amazing because we're getting feedback from our airmen and from the end user. So we're not just delivering them hoping that we've hit the mark, but they are in the process of it. So that's been a really great opportunity.
So overall, help us understand, what is Combat Ready Airman? What is that program?
Great question. So Combat Ready Airman is a new program office that's standing up, and it is serving the 91% of all AFSCs that are not air crew or special ops. So those have specific program offices that deal with all their needs, but we focus solely on like maintenance, security forces, medics, anybody that isn't air crew or special ops. And so right now, there is no program office that's really standardizing everything. So everything is at the unit level. The commanders find the needs for them, and we don't have consistency across the Air Force, which can cause gaps in training. So if you're at home and your one unit uses, product A, and you're used to that, but maybe you PCS and you go to unit B, well, now they don't use that. So now you get a whole new thing and you're trying to figure it out, but it's the same, it's the same purpose, right?
And you're talking gear and equipment, right?
Yep, it could be, yep. So like body armor or maybe handcuffs even, overalls, anything that is specific to their AFSC. So we are trying to just make sure that they are all standardized. And maybe that's just us providing a list that says, hey, if you're looking for body armor, you're authorized these 3 vests, you can pick within it, but all the Air Force has access to it. So if you deploy, you're trained up on it, you know what your buddy is wearing, you can, get it off if they're really, injured and they need a quick exit. And it just helps make sure we're all safe across the Air Force and we're all standardized.
Yeah. And so now GearFit is a part of that, or supports that Combat Ready Airman, and help us understand how.
So, well, that's kind of an interesting question because within Combat Ready Airmen, we have a female fitment initiative. And so I'm the female fitment lead as well. And the intent of that is to ensure that all current and future human system division requirements have a female fitment focus. So it doesn't mean that each requirement is specific for females. It means that it's all encompassing. So maybe if we're looking at, let's say for our air crew side, masks, oxygen masks, did we include the anthropometric data that allows for their size face to be involved when we wrote the KPPs and KSAs for that mask? If not, that's where we kind of come in and say, hey, we think we need to tweak those KSAs to be a little bit broader. So where GearFit comes into this is in 2019, there was an AFWorks challenge, and they had a workshop, and this was for our air crew or our female airmen. And they had a lot of concerns and kind of voiced some of the gaps that they had for their air crew equipment. And so when leaving that, we were like, how do we capture all of these gaps? Because the requirements are getting to us, but we're not being intentional to make sure that they're encompassing these ladies. And so that's where the GearFit came in, was how do those users provide that feedback back to the SPO so that we can help get like right to it when those requirements come in, because we don't control the requirements, right? As the acquisition community, we don't build the requirements, we fill them, right?
Yeah.
And so when we're getting those requirements, we're working with those MAGCOMs and the requirements owners to make sure, like, hey, we've gotten a lot of concerns or questions or feedback about this, like, have we thought of this? And we're working with those communities to make sure the requirement is really all encompassing. And so that's kind of where GearFit came about. But now GearFit is not just for females. This is open to all aircrew. And so we are really trying to figure out where those gaps are. And it's a non-attributional environment. So we're hoping that, hey, as this feedback comes in, these aircrew are going to see long-term the impacts of having that communication with us.
Yeah. And so that led to kind of our partnership ultimately with I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the company. Skylight. Okay, so that led to our collaboration with Skylight. And so let's go ahead and meet you, Nicole, if you could introduce yourself and explain a little bit about what you do.
Sure. Hello, I'm Nicole. I'm the product manager for the GearFit product. So I work with some Skylight teammates, developers, designers, researchers, in addition to some Air Force developers as well through the Bespin software factory. And we are working on building out the GearFit website and experience. So we are continuously releasing new features and iterating on feedback we hear to get closer to optimizing the goals that Taylor was talking about.
Okay, and how long have you been with the company?
I've been with GearFit for over a year now.
Okay, all right. And Sarah, how about you?
Yeah, so I'm Sarah, and I'm a product designer for GearFit. So I work with the other designer on our team, Taylor, and we are sort of the voice for the user. So we work and do research, understanding who's using GearFit, get a better sense of what they want and what they need, so that we're always creating a website that works really well and accommodates for all of their needs. And that's sort of where we play into building GearFit as a website.
Okay. And are both you guys, are you coders or are you software designers or no? You're like product managers.
No, so yeah, I can explain a little more. Both
Sure.
Nicole and I don't have technical roles. So our work goes more on the product end of our day-to-day, has nothing to do with actually coding the app, but we help make the product decisions that will inform what the developers end up actually making happen and come into reality into the website.
Okay, all right, cool. So Taylor, they mentioned Bespin. So let's talk about the relationship between human systems or with your Combat Ready Airman program and with Bespin.
Sure. So this is a really unique opportunity for me to come into, because so obviously for human systems, we're more familiar and apt to get a requirement that's more of a tangible material solution and go and procure it and then deliver it to the user. But that's not what GearFit is. GearFit, like they mentioned, is a software product, and it's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. And so that's not our forte, but we're really lucky because we have the Bespin team, and that is what they do. And so we work with them and their contracting officers and their FM team and their programmatic team all oversee the actual contract with Skylight. But human systems is the one that is funding it, and we're the ones that are kind of not the requirements owner per se, but we're the ones that kind of tell them, hey, we need this. And we're not the user, because we also have a user, but we're kind of this, I guess the brainchild, really, that's where it came from with us. So we work with them because each of us have this level of expertise, and we play with the other one's, you know, expert level on it, and it works for some reason. We just have them on our team to really execute with Skylight.
So, so GearFit, it's a website. That's correct. Okay. So ultimately, it's like a database. Is that the idea? Is that we're going to collect a lot of data on different sizes and fits and things like that, so that we can better design products, or what are we trying to capture here?
That's a good question. So each of the users comes into the website when they want, and they are submitting like reports basically. And so we will have different categories, and maybe it'll be like, oh, this is under a helmet. And so the user might have had a flight that day and had an issue with their helmet. And they're like, I really want the program office to know about this. And so they will go in and they will submit a ticket under helmet, and that will come to Human Systems office. And we will look at it, and maybe it's us finding out that their helmet digs into their shoulders, or it's too heavy on their neck, or when they landed, something jostled and it felt wrong. Some of this stuff maybe goes to their AF shop and they can get it fixed. Maybe this is a recurring issue, and they're just letting us know, like, hey, I've been flying for 6 years and this has been an issue at every base, and it doesn't matter what AF does. I just have this major issue with my helmet, right? And so we're not so much collecting sizes as we're collecting feedback on how the equipment is functioning in their day-to-day operation. And our hope is that when we get different bases, different MAGCOMs, different platforms, all submitting different feedback, that we're able to find those big gaps in the requirements and tweak those requirements so that we can go and fill those needs.
Yeah, and that's long been a problem with a lot of our acquisition programs, where the end user has the actual use of the product, but there's no link back to the program office. So the program office never knows whether it works or whether it meets their needs or not, or what kind of modifications they have to make in the field to make it work, you know. And so this is just a means for them to be able to do that.
Yep. And we're not saying in the app like, oh, yep, your solution will be delivered next week. However, we are building that relationship with the MAGCOMs, and that's really where this is a huge gain for the Air Force, is because we are standing GearFit up, but simultaneously we are building these relationships with the requirements owners, with the MAGCOMs, with the commanders, so that they see the value, that they want their users to go in and put in their reports. And we're not trying to recreate the process. We're trying to augment the pre-existing processes and procedures that we have set up within the Air Force, to just make sure that every time we're fulfilling a requirement, is that we've got the airmen's true feedback and their buy-in, that we're going to get after the right thing.
Yeah. And you know, that's important. A lot of times when you get a product, you want to be able to tell somebody about it. You want to know that you've been heard, right? So
yep. Absolutely.
So right now, if you are interested in going to the website, it's a CAC-enabled website. Aircrew are able to go in, select, as Taylor was describing, any gear issues you have, describe what's going on, have a little bit of contact details. We do also have an anonymous capability if you'd prefer. And it does go into a database, and and the folks in the Human Systems Division, the Gear SMEs, are able to manage the responses, and we're able to just keep that data in one spot. One of the things we're focusing on for the next couple of months is really building out our trends and analytics capabilities and learning more about what would be valuable to capture there in more depth. But right now, you could call them tickets that come through, and they're just all collected there.
Okay. And do you guys get feedback from the users as well, as first, like the experience of them, you know, to facilitate, make it easier for them to input the information into the website and that kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, for sure. that's exactly what Sarah is working on as a designer. I'll let her talk a bit more about that process.
Okay.
Yeah, so part of the sort of design process that we have on the GearFit team is we have really regular interactions with the people using the app. So whether that be the air crew that are submitting, but then also on the end of our requirements managers, which are people on the HSD side, and also at the Magicom level that are actually going in and responding to the feedback. We have regular interactions and sessions with them where we can hear their feedback about how the website's working for them, understand where their pain points are, and that's what helps us to prioritize which features and which new capabilities to add into the app, so that our website, so that we are able to actually have an enjoyable experience for our users, which is what makes GearFit a more modern website, because we're not just producing it all in one go.
Yeah.
We're constantly improving, and hopefully making it enjoyable for people that are using it.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't make it painless for people to put the information in, then they're just not going to bother doing it, ultimately. So that's really great. So Taylor, let's if people hear this episode and they want to be involved, or they want to check it out, what's the best way for them to reach out to your office or to contact you?
So I am on the global, so they can always look up Taylor Harrison, and I'm in WNU. But if they want to check out GearFit, we are on the Air Force portal, so they can always search GearFit on the Air Force portal and actually go check out the website. That's the quickest way to check that out. And then once they're on there, there is an email address to email the GearFit team. And so they can always email the GearFit team as well to just get more information or reach out to us with specific questions.
Okay. So that pretty much brings us to the end of our time. But before we close, I just want to see, is there anything that I forgot to ask you guys about, or anything that you would like to add or reiterate?
Well, we appreciate this. We definitely want to make GearFit a success. So getting the name out there and letting people know that it's there is a big deal. So we appreciate it. And Nicole and Sarah, thank you for joining. I definitely appreciate the support. And I think it having you guys on, I think, really highlights kind of this blended approach that GearFit has, which is one of the unique things about it. So appreciate that.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate the fact that that you guys are working so hard to try and deliver gear that airmen can use, and meets their needs actually in the field. So I think it's a long time coming, and it's great to see people really dedicated to that task. So thanks for joining us on Leadership Log today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.